Salut my little baguettes, welcome to l'Académie Équilibre, and today we're learning how to make a sentence into negative in French. So let's begin. For instance, when we do it in English, there's a certain rule, right? A certain way of making a sentence into negative. We either put don't or not in the affirmative sentence or positive sentence in order to get a negative answer. Like here I've got the sentence, I want to work. This is a positive or affirmative sentence. Now if I want to make it negative, I just add the word don't before want. This one word changes the entire meaning of your sentence, right? Same way we have a format in French, that is your la formation. So to do negation in French, we have this format, that is ne plus verb plus pas. That is, you identify a verb in the sentence, you add ne before it, pas before it, basically make a ne plus verb plus pas sandwich, where ne and pas are your bread and verb is your filling, you can say, right? Now in this sentence, even if you're not able to translate it, you can at least identify the verb, right? Here it is travail. So your verb generally comes after your subject, right? As in the person who is doing the action. Je, tu, il, elle, etc., etc., right? So over here, if I want to make this negative, I work every day, I don't work every day. So what do I have to do? I have to take this verb, once I've identified it, I will put ne before it and pas after it. So I get, je ne travaille pas chaque jour. It is as simple as that. First step, identify the verb. Second step, put ne before it and pas after it. Now if you're able to do these three things, you're sorted. Now we come to the rules of negative to make sure there's zero confusion in the basics. So the first rule is that the ne becomes an apostrophe if your verb starts from a vowel. What all come under our vowels? We have normal A, E, I, O, U, and in French we consider H and Y as vowel as well. Alright, so you have to pay attention to this part. Now to understand that through an example, you get, we have this sentence, c'est un stylo. That is, this is a pen. It is your positive affirmative sentence. Now to make it into negative, we know est is our verb. We put ne before it and pas after it to get negative. So first thing, this C apostrophe becomes CE. Why? Because we put the apostrophe because your verb started from a vowel. Now because the ne is here, you don't have to do that anymore. Now here the ne becomes apostrophe because it is with est. So ce n'est pas un stylo. I know it's pretty simple, but I'm telling it to you. Why? Because some people, they write it as this without realizing. Okay, and this is wrong because there's a vowel clash over here. And we have rule 1 to avoid this very thing. Okay, now we come to our second rule. So our second rule says article partitive and article indéfini become DE or the apostrophe in negative. Now what does that mean? First, you need to know what these two terms mean. Okay, in case you're not clear on that, you can watch my video on it and then you can come back to this. So article partitif, I'll just tell you quickly. It is the word du, de la, de l'apostrophe and des, and they all mean some and are used before food items. Article indéfini is your un, une, de. Basically a, an or some. These also come before a noun, like for example, a pen, a phone, or a bottle, or some crayons. Alright, so all of this becomes DE or the apostrophe in French. So if I say, j'ai un stylo, same sentence, this will become, I'll identify the verb, that is AI, avoir. So I'll place ne before it, pas after it, and then this un is my article indéfini, it will become DE. So, je n'ai pas des stylos. Same way for article partitif, if I have this sentence, je veux de l'eau. That is, I want some water. Okay, now if I put this into negative, what will I say? I don't want any water. If you don't want something, you don't want it at all, right? Or if you don't like something, you don't like it at all. The quantity does not matter. If I say I don't like salad, I don't like it at all. I won't say I don't like some salad. I will say I don't like any salad. Okay, that is the logic behind it. So this becomes, ver is my verb, vouloir, to want. Okay, ne before it, pas after it. Now here, your de le will become de. But because there's a vowel clash over here, we don't want that, which is why we make this into d apostrophe. Which is why we have this option de or d apostrophe. D apostrophe is used when your noun or your object starts from a vowel. So, je ne veux pas d'eau. I don't want any water. Have a third rule. Our third rule is nothing but your exception to the second rule. That is, there is one verb that does not follow this second rule. What is our second rule? Article partitive and indefini become d or d apostrophe in a negative sentence. Okay, but when does it not happen? It does not happen with rule 3. So your verb is être. If you see être in your sentence, then your article partitive or article indefini will not change. That is être or its conjugations. So if any of this is there in your sentence, you will not change your article partitive or indefini. That means être is your exception. Keep this in your mind, pause the video and note it down so that you don't forget it. This point basically means no change. To understand this through an example, we will take a sentence. That is, this is a cake. Now I want to say this is not a cake. Okay, so what will I do? Est is my verb, ne before it, pas after it. Generally, what does the rule say? If you have article indefini, here it is un. So it should become de. That is what our rule says, rule 2. But because you have to see the entire sentence, est is over here. That is a conjugation of être and être is an exception. That means anytime être is in your sentence, you will not change article indefini or partitif. Only ne pas, that's it. So ce n'est pas un gâteau. This is why looking at the entire sentence is important. What students generally do, they will look at the verb, put ne before it, pas after it, done. That's it. But if you don't look at the sentence, you won't know if article partitif was there, indefini was there, this un, un, de, du, de la was there. You were supposed to change it. Or sometimes they do it, right? For example, they would write ce n'est pas des gâteaux instead of un. They do not look at the fact your verb was a conjugation of être. So again, even though they remembered a rule, they're still wrong. That's why you need to pay attention. So these were our 3 rules. Now we move on to the exercise. Now we'll do an exercise to make sure it is crystal clear. Alright, so l'exercice. We have 5 sentences. We're going to make each of them into negative. So first one is tu lis un roman. That is, you read a book. Alright, first step is to identify a verb. It is lis, to read, from the verb lire. Okay, first step is to put ne before it and pas after it. So I get tu ne lis pas. Then I have to identify if there's article indéfini or partitif in it. It is there. So we have un here. Now the rule says if your verb is not être, you will make this un into de or d apostrophe. So I get de roman. Now second sentence, ce sont des monuments. That is, these are some monuments. Now here what is my verb? It is sont. So I write ce ne sont pas. Now this is des is my article indéfini. The rule says I should make it into de if I'm making the sentence negative. But here if you see the verb is sont, which is a conjugation of être. And with être we do not change our article partitif or indéfini. I write it as it is, ce ne sont pas des monuments. Then third one I have, il y a des pommes dans ces paniers. That is, there are some apples in this basket. Now here my verb is a, which is the conjugation of avoir. So ne goes before it, pas goes after it. But here's the thing, for now you need to know that this y will also go with it. So generally mistakes are made here, right? What you need to know whenever you have this in your sentence and you're supposed to make it negative, you always do il n apostrophe because y is treated as a vowel in French and then il n'y a pas. Okay? For now you need to know whenever il y a is there, it becomes il n'y a pas. Okay? And you have to do it whenever you see il y a as your subject in the sentence. So il n'y a pas, then this des will become de and you write the sentence as it is. Then fourth one, c'est un cartable. Sorry, no S here. Okay, this is singular. C'est un cartable. This is a bag. So here, this is your verb, now before it, pas after it, and this un will remain as it is. Why? Because your verb is être conjugated. And the C apostrophe becomes CE. Why was it C apostrophe? Because of EST. Otherwise, there would have been a vowel clash, so this is wrong, this is right. But now, because I'm placing an N over here, so it can become CE again. Now last one, il boit du thé. That is, he drinks some tea. So here, boire is your verb, boire, to drink. You get il ne boit pas, then this du is article partitive, placed before a food item, that is tea, you make it de. He drinks some tea, he does not drink any tea. I hope this is clear to you. In these 5 sentences, I've covered every type of question, right? So that the complete basics of negation is absolutely clear to you. Alright, thank you.